I want to start by saying this. You are not broken. You are becoming. And the soul, that sacred, deep down part of you that aches for meaning and belonging, it's not asking for perfection. It's asking for presence. In a world that's constantly shouting at you to do more, be more, hustle harder, let's take a breath and ask, what actually nourishes my soul? What makes me feel whole? We live in a culture that worships productivity. We're taught that rest is something you earn, not something you're worthy of. That slowing down means you're falling behind. That pausing means you're weak. But the truth is, some of the most powerful soul-shaping moments happen not when you're sprinting, but when you're sitting still. Stillness is where clarity lives. It's where your soul catches up with your body. It's where the noise of the world fades just enough for you to hear the whisper of your own voice. And that whisper, that's your truth. That's your intuition. That's the part of you that isn't performing or pleasing or pretending. That's the part of you that knows. Stillness is where you remember what actually matters. Not the to-do list, not the opinions of strangers, not the comparison game you didn't sign up for. In stillness, you begin to feel your breath. You begin to feel the ache beneath the armor. You begin to meet yourself again, not as a project to fix, but as a human to love. The soul doesn't bloom in chaos, it blooms in quiet. In the moments between striving, in the spaces that the world calls wasted time, but your heart calls home. Stillness is not the absence of progress. It's the presence of peace. And peace is not passive, it's powerful. It re-centers you. It grounds you. It softens the fear that tells you to run and reminds you that you are already enough, even here, even now. So let yourself stop, let yourself be. Not forever, but long enough to remember that you are more than what you do. You are worthy of rest. You are worthy of sacred pauses. And your soul will thank you for every moment you choose presence over performance. We don't talk about laughter enough, not the polite kind you offer at dinner parties, but the real kind. The uncontrollable, belly shaking, tear streaming kind of laughter. The kind that leaves your cheeks aching and your heart wide open. That kind of laughter, it's not trivial. It's not a distraction. It's divine. Because laughter is a release. It's what happens when the soul exhales. When life gets too heavy, too complicated, too damn serious, laughter slips in and reminds us, asterisk, you're still human. You're still alive. You're still connected to joy. Asterisk. It breaks through shame like sunlight through clouds. It dissolves tension. It brings us back to the moment. When we laugh with someone, we're saying, I see you, I get you. We're in this together. There's something incredibly sacred about that shared spark, that mutual letting go of whatever we're carrying just long enough to laugh. And sometimes laughter is survival. It's our body's way of saying, this is hard, but I'm still here. It doesn't mean you're ignoring pain, it means you're choosing not to be consumed by it. Some of the most beautiful, resilient souls I've ever known are the ones who found a way to laugh even through the darkest nights. Not because they're in denial, but because they've made room for both grief and joy. Both can live in the same heart. Laughter isn't foolish. It's not immature. It's an act of rebellion in a world that tries to convince us we need to always be composed, always be perfect, always be in control. But laughter, it's messy. It's unfiltered. It's real. And your soul needs that kind of freedom. So don't wait for everything to be okay to let yourself laugh. Let laughter be the thing that helps make things okay. Make space for humor, for silliness, for delight. Let yourself be light sometimes, not because life isn't hard, but because your soul deserves more than just survival. Laughter is holy because it reminds us that we're more than our worries, more than our wounds. We're also joy. We're also connection. We're also delight. And that's sacred. They're not walls. They're not ultimatums. They're not punishments. Boundaries are the courageous, compassionate ways we say, this is what's okay for me, and this is what's not. They are the honest lines we draw not to push people away, but to keep ourselves whole. So many of us were raised to believe that being kind means being available, being good means being agreeable, and being loved means being everything to everyone. But let me tell you the truth, when you constantly say yes out of fear, obligation, or guilt, you don't just betray your time, you betray your soul. Every time you ignore your own needs to make someone else comfortable, a little piece of your inner peace begins to erode. That soft voice inside the one that says, I'm tired, or I need space, or this doesn't feel right, gets quieter. And eventually, if you're not careful, it goes silent. That's what happens when we live without boundaries. We lose ourselves trying to keep everyone else happy. But here's the beautiful, life-giving truth. Asterisk, asterisk, you're allowed to take care of yourself. Asterisk, asterisk, you're allowed to say no without explaining. You're allowed to leave the conversation that drains you. You're allowed to take a breath before you commit. And you're allowed to build a life that feels good on the inside, asterisk, even if it doesn't please everyone on the outside. Boundaries are not a sign of disconnection. They're an invitation to deeper, healthier connection. They say to the people in your life, I want to love you well, and I need to love me well to do that. They protect your energy, your joy, your purpose. They create space for the things that truly matter: rest, creativity, presence, and peace. And yes, setting boundaries can feel uncomfortable. People might not like it, but discomfort is the price of growth. And the alternative, living a life where you're constantly stretched thin, emotionally depleted, and resentful, is far more painful. Your soul cannot thrive in constant sacrifice. It needs oxygen. It needs room to breathe. Boundaries give it that room. So trust yourself, honor your needs, stand firm in your yes and in your no, not with harshness, but with clarity, not with fear, but with love. Because every time you set a boundary, you're telling your soul, you matter, I'm listening, I've got you. Asterisk, there's a quiet kind of exhaustion that comes from trying to be everything to everyone, from carefully editing yourself to fit the room you're in, from constantly scanning the faces around you, wondering, am I enough for them? Do they like me? Do they accept me? Asterisk. But your soul, it doesn't care about applause. It doesn't care about popularity. It cares about truth. It cares about alignment. It comes alive not when you're liked by everyone, but when you're real with yourself. Asterisk, asterisk. Authenticity is the unpolished, brave act of showing up exactly as you are, no mask, no filter, no performance. It's admitting, this is what I believe. This is what I feel. This is what I need. And that kind of honesty, that's where peace begins. The pursuit of approval is a never-ending race. The goalposts move. The standards shift. You keep bending and shrinking and performing until one day you look in the mirror and don't recognize yourself. That's the cost of approval it demands, pieces of your soul in exchange for validation that never lasts. But authenticity, it's grounding, it's freeing, it's powerful. When you stop abandoning yourself to belong to others, you start building a life where you actually belong to yourself. You become someone who is rooted in truth, not in trends or expectations or guilt. And the irony, the more you live from your authentic self, the more you attract people who love you for you, not for the version you curated for approval. You're not here to be palatable. You're not here to be perfect. You're here to be true. Asterisk. Asterisk. That doesn't mean being loud or reckless or unapologetically selfish. It means being honest, even when it's uncomfortable. It means standing in your values, even when they're not popular. It means choosing alignment over acceptance. Because when you live in authenticity, your soul breathes easier. Your mind becomes quieter, and your heart starts to rest. Approval is fleeting. But the peace that comes from living as your full, flawed, radiant self, that is forever. So stop asking, will they like me? And start asking, is this true to me? That question will take you back home to the place where your soul doesn't just survive, but thrives. Grace is your greatest ally. We live in a world that is obsessed with perfection, with highlight reels, with success stories that never mention the messy middle. And somewhere along the way, we started believing that we had to earn our worth, that unless we were always doing, always fixing, always achieving, we weren't enough. But grace whispers something radically different. You're allowed to fall apart. You're allowed to get it wrong. You're allowed to not have it all together. And still, you are worthy of love, worthy of rest, worthy of starting again. Grace is not weakness. It's not letting yourself off the hook. It's the strength to meet your flaws and failures with compassion instead of cruelty. It's what happens when you stop waging war with yourself and start learning how to be kind to the person you see in the mirror. Because here's the truth. You will mess up. You will say the wrong thing, take the wrong turn, break your own heart or someone else's. That doesn't make you bad, that makes you human. And what your soul needs in those moments isn't shame, it's grace. It's the steady voice that says, this isn't the end of your story. This is part of your becoming, asterisk. Grace keeps you grounded when guilt tries to drown you. It helps you soften instead of harden. It allows you to grow from your pain instead of getting stuck in it. And maybe most importantly, it teaches you how to offer that same mercy to others, because when you've truly tasted grace, you stop expecting perfection from people too. You make room for their humanity, just like you're learning to make room for your own. Let's be real. Self-compassion isn't easy. It's countercultural. We're taught to hustle our way into healing, to outperform our pain, to prove that we're okay. But healing doesn't come from proving. It comes from permission, asterisk. Permission to rest. Permission to forgive yourself. Permission to be a work in progress. And grace gives you that permission. It doesn't demand that you be better before you're worthy. It reminds you that you are already loved, already held, already enough. So when the inner critic gets loud, when the pressure to be perfect starts to choke your joy, when you feel like you failed beyond repair, pause, breathe, and let grace in. It will hold you when your strength runs out. It will guide you back when you've lost your way. It will remind you that even in your most unlovable moments, you are still deeply loved. That's why grace isn't just a gift, it's your ally. Your soul is not asking you to be superhuman. It's asking you to feel, to pause, to return again and again to what's real and what matters. You are not behind. You are not too much. You are exactly where you need to be to begin again. So take care of your soul. It's the only home you'll carry with you every day of your life.